Thank you so much for joining us on Straight Out of Savannah. I am super excited to welcome my guest, Lorna J. Hines, to Straight Out of Savannah. She's going to tell you all about who she is, what she does, and how she can help you. So, Lorna, take it away.
Oh, my goodness. First of all, Tammy, may I express my profound gratitude for you having me, a girl from the Bronx, New York, which is now called South Bronx or Fort Apache. That's where I grew up and was reared. I was part of a family, an extended family, like probably many of your listeners. I grew up in part Caribbean and part Southern
Oh,
tradition.
wow.
I'm familiar with both in terms of cooking, culture, and spirituality. My maternal grandmother was very spiritual and religious. She sang hymns all day long on Sunday as she washed, cooked, ironed, and so forth. But on other days, she lit candles, she read the Bible, she muttered often healing words that I didn't even know what she was saying when one of us was sick, including me, who suffered with respiratory issues. So I grew up in a very spiritual and religious household. My mother was very much into astrology and she would buy all sorts of astrological books. I didn't know what I was reading, but I read them anyway because I've always been an avid reader. As you know, and many of your listeners may be aware of my background and experience, I have always been into helping others. It's in my DNA, it's in my genes, it's in every fabric. That is my inclination. And so it translated itself in a 40 plus year career in mental health and substance abuse. And if you look at my background, it's been one where I kind of went up the line, starting out as a regular social worker in clinics and other settings, and then moving up to senior governmental positions responsible for large budgets. My last two positions were with the State of New Jersey Division of Mental Health and Substance Abuse. I was in charge of a number of different programs under the division director. But when I left and it was time for me to retire from public service, I was director of workforce development and training for 16,000 employees in human services. I've always been interested and lectured around trauma, cultural competence, violence, sexual assault, physical and sexual abuse of children and adults. Had 15 years in graduate school teaching at NYU School of Social Work, Yeshiva, and my last 3 year stint with Ramapo College in New Jersey. I've always had a private practice because I felt it kept me honest. It kept my feet in what's important about people and my relationship with people. I've always been intuitive. As I said, I grew up in an intuitive and somewhat mediumistic household, but just something I would say around 2007 was still looking for something more. There was something missing. I studied numerology for a while under Jerome Carter, who has passed. He was a student of Lloyd Strayhorn, which you may have heard of. In fact, we had Lloyd in our Mediums of African Ancestry that I'll also share with you.
Yes.
And then from my numerology, I kind of stumbled into a online computer show with a woman by the name of Carrie O'Connor. And she said to me on the show, she said, "You have something special. Do you know you were born to be a medium? I'd like you to join my group." And so I was in her group just like that. That's how spirit works. For 3 years doing mediumship, doing intuitive work, dream interpretation. And then again, something still was missing. I did some healing work in the church I attended. And then in 2010, something led me to Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, excuse me, New York,
Mm.
where I was one of 200 students of James Van Praagh.
Oh,
I was
wow.
very late to his program, which was a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, because I got stuck in traffic that had me backed up miles and miles. So I creeped in Friday night, trying not to be noticed. As I walked in and took my seat, James jumped off the stage and said to me, "You have something special, and you will be transformed this weekend." And he didn't lie. The following day, he took us through a meditation. I even remember the meditation. And after the meditation was over, he paired us with another one of the attendees. And he basically said, you're going to do mediumship.
Mm,
And that tells you something about the power of intention. Now,
yeah.
the woman I was with, she didn't want to do it. So she told me I should do it. Now, I had come a long way. This gentleman told me that I'm going to be transformed. So I'm not going to waste time. I'm going to try it.
I know that's right.
And boom, you know, her husband came through. This woman's husband came through who had passed. I felt him. I felt his energy. I felt the way he died. And what can I tell you? I have been doing mediumship ever since. James pushed me the next day because he had people demonstrate on again in front of these 200 people. And if my story doesn't check out, I will tell you some names of some people that were there that saw this. And of course, I didn't raise my hand. So he came directly to me and he said, "Get up on that stage." And again, I was able to make contact with a woman who was in spirit, who was the aunt of a person that was present. So I just spent the
That is
next
amazing.
it's amazing. It is. I spent the next day studying because at my heart, I'm a student, I'm a teacher, but I'm a student and I want to learn. So I had the opportunity to train with some of the best mediums. You might know of them. Mavis Patella, my teacher, Colin Bates, Tony Stockwell was very instrumental in my development.
I
Uh,
love his sitting in the power. I do
yeah,
it almost
right
every.
on YouTube. Paul Jacobs, even. I live in New Jersey and I was encouraged to attend the Journey Within in New Jersey. Janet Nohavik was the pastor there, and I trained many years with her doing cabinet work, even more forward and more intense than just mediumship. And I'll come back to you with her, but I also had the opportunity to be encouraged to do trance. You know,
Oh, yes.
I absolutely love trance. I did a mentorship both with Tony and with Helen DeVita in trance. And Helen, who I respect so much, said to me, "Lorna, you understand, this is a mentorship, but it's an apprenticeship because you were born to do this work."
Oh, that is so amazing. I
It's
love that.
amazing. It's amazing. So again, continuing with Janet, encouraged me to do training with the Spiritualist National Union International and the Spiritualist National Union, which is the seat of mediumship and spiritualist religion throughout the world, because the Journey Within has a affiliation with the Spiritualist National Union.
Oh,
So I studied with them. I am credentialed with them. I'm proud to say, and I say it with pride because it was not easy. If you can imagine the papers I've written, I should have a doctorate. The papers I've written, the speaking, all of this constant reading, researching, and demonstrating was all necessary for the CSNU that I obtained. Then I return to my work with the Journey Within. I am also so blessed to be one of the last people that Janet Nohavik ordained as a spiritualist minister in 2022.
oh,
And
wow.
yes, and I really have so enjoyed being a minister and doing ministerial work as well. This July, I've done funerals, but this will be my first wedding that I will do, which is just wonderful. In between that, I promise I'm gonna stop talking, but you asked for it, and I'm
No.
give you all that I can think of.
Yeah.
Around 2017, after I did my much of my studies with the SNU and all the different people I studied with, I began to feel as though I was seeking people that looked like me, that were not part of the spiritualist narration, not part of the people that were identified as spiritualist pioneers. I felt as though there must be something missing in the story. I would talk to different individuals that had a history in the religion and the philosophy. They agreed that there must be some people that look like me, but they didn't know who those people were.
We would see a group and there would be maybe one ink spot. But I know you've probably been a part of circles where you might have been the only person that looked like you. And every once in a while, you want another one of us pop up and you're like, oh my God.
Truthfully speaking, Tammy, most of the classes that I was in, I was the only ink spot, as you
Hmm.
mentioned.
Yeah.
I was the only one.
I've been in many classes like that and I don't have a problem with it.
However, what I did have a problem with, which aligns itself with something that I'm going to share with you, is that there were instances where I felt there were microaggressions.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Microaggression.
Yes, yes.
Thankfully, my teachers would call students out on their behavior. So that was good.
That
But
is good.
truthfully speaking, I decided to work on the development of a Facebook group that would address some of these major obstacles and challenges for Black individuals, people of color, Indigenous people. I decided to do it on Facebook because I felt this could be an opportunity for people both nationally and internationally to come together. I was sure there were Black individuals, people of color in Europe, in Africa, in Asia, and I would imagine they were going through some of the same things I was going through.
Yes,
There is an opportunity for us to come together and
yes,
help one another and inspire one another.
yes,
And is there a opportunity for white individuals to begin to understand that there is a diverse group of individuals that are currently mediums and other types of spiritual practitioners, and historically that we were at the table. We were Black, Indigenous, people of color, very much a part of the modern spiritualist movement, 1848. But for whatever reason, I can point fingers, but we were not there. My focus for the white individuals interested is let's go back and look at that history and see who was really there and why they are missing from the narrative. Let's bring it also to the 1900s. I'm sure you know during the Jim Crow period here in the United States, Black people were summarily dismissed from
yes,
the National Spiritualist Association. And so then we had the National Spiritualist Colored Association. What happened then? And where are all of these Black and people of color who were part of that movement? Where are those churches? Have they been invited back to the white churches after they were summarily dismissed? And if they haven't been invited, why not? And do they want to be invited? Is there a opportunity for us to come together and for somebody to say, I wasn't there in the 1900s in Jim Crow, but I don't care because I'm sorry about it. And if I was there, maybe I would have worshiped with
that's
you
something.
underground. I would have been quiet about it, but I wouldn't have dismissed you. I
Right.
wouldn't have hurt you that way.
So, allies.
Please. That's my story, and I'm sticking with
I
it.
love it. I love the way your vision came together. I love it. And the way that you, with the group, because of course I'm a part of the group.
You are?
But when I saw it, I was like, oh my God. And of course, because I do this, one of my first thoughts was, I can show some of us doing this work. This has been my mission when I started this show. I didn't want to just say, this is all I do, but I want to always reach out to us to showcase that we do this work. We are all the things. And most of us have been all the things all of our lives. You knew when you were young that you were intuitive. Not only that, you were in an intuitive family, so that always makes a difference.
Yes,
You don't have anybody, shitting on your vision.
yes.
Everybody knows, and that is amazing. How did your family react to you being a medium?
Well, I would say my immediate family were a little hesitant, but once they saw how I worked and what it was all about, they were extremely supportive.
Yes.
Now, I will tell you what they do to tease me is they will say, "Oh, Mom, you're not as good as the Long Island medium because she's on TV." They'll tease me about that, and I'll tease them back about that. But I've received enormous support from my family. Now, understand, I wouldn't say the black sheep, but I'm the
Yeah.
different one. They know I
Um,
speak to
the
people as
weird
one. That's right. I'm the weird one.
good.
But they're respectful of it. In fact, maybe for my birthday, they made a message in the family. We are so proud of Lorna that she communicates with our loved ones in spirit.
Now that is so sweet. Do you find that because I've asked a few mediums and everybody has different answers, and of course, everybody's been trained differently. I don't know about you, but I have worked with different teachers along the way. I've sat in different circles and all kinds of stuff. Do you find that you're always on? Like you have to turn it off?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, Tammy. I would say my intuitiveness is always on. It was always on. I may call upon it more if I'm in a situation where I feel I need to call upon it more. The mediumship, it's very interesting. It is on sometime without me
Sitting in the power?
or calling upon those in spirit to come close. I've had a couple of situations which were very interesting. I do physical therapy in a pool. I'm doing the different exercises, and all of a sudden, I feel the presence of the father of the physical therapist. Now,
Oh,
boom, like that. You have to be careful of that because I know the Long Island medium goes up to people, but I wasn't trained that way. So
no, I was trained that that is unethical.
I was very hesitant in saying anything to her. She is a very open kind of woman, and I did say it to her in a very open, non committal way. As I said, I would imagine in this case, it was important that I got this message to her. Now, here's another thing. I'm doing my regular psychotherapy. As I mentioned, I have my practice and I keep everything very separate because I'm very respectful of the licensure and so
Yeah.
forth. I'm in a psychotherapy session and all of a sudden I felt a presence on the ceiling. This person that was on the ceiling was so insistent that I recognized her and I talked to her that she would not go away no matter what I did. I didn't want to start talking too much, because I didn't want my patient to say, "Oh,
Your patient is,
my
I
therapist
think
is."
she a little crazy.
And you know what they say? A lot of the therapists are crazy.
Yeah, they say that's a prerequisite.
This presence was so insistent. And I had seen this woman for many, many years. So I did say to her, "Are you familiar with people in spirit?" And she said, "Oh, please, please, Lorna, please, whatever it is you're seeing or feeling." I mean, and she even moved in her chair closer. "Would you please share it?" And by then, it was the end of the regular clinical hour. So I felt comfortable. It was her great aunt who had passed who had really wanted to come through to give her support to this woman who had gone through some real difficulty with her ex. It's interesting because for whatever reason, this energy that this woman brought forth, it was a healing energy.
Mm. Wow.
And it affected the woman, made the client made a 365-degree change in her life like that. She went on to get her PhD. She
Oh,
went on to
wow.
move up to have a better house and so forth. She met someone. It didn't work out, but nonetheless, she met someone.
Right.
Know? So I think, in answer to your question, I'm usually on with the intuitive, but sometime when the opportunity opens itself for a mediumistic, it can be very profound. Can
Yes.
be very, very profound.
I love the peace that it gives people.
Mhm.
Even in because I have situations where I didn't think I gave them anything, but they felt the peace. And they were like, oh my God. They recognized their grandfather right off when I said, yeah, he's a blah, blah, blah. And this is what he looks like. And he's showing me this truck and showing me out in the country. I noticed the peace. When I experienced it the first time, I felt the peace because my grandparents almost always come through. Anytime anybody gives me this, they're like low hanging fruit. They always come through. I think any opportunity because I was their baby.
Mhm.
So they come through and I miss them the most. I sit
Yeah.
with my ancestors and I talk to my grandmother all the time, like she was still here.
Beautiful,
Yeah,
beautiful,
yeah,
beautiful,
yeah,
beautiful. I think it's love too, Tammy. I think people experience the peace, but oftentimes it's the love they feel. With my lady, I think she needed the love
yeah.
of that great aunt because that great aunt was the matriarch of the family and really was a strong presence. I think she missed that while she was going through her various trials and tribulations. So I would say peace, definitely, and I would say love.
Yeah.
And also, I think the peace is related to knowing that their loved one is okay
Yes,
and that their loved one is still with them, even though they are not with them physically.
yes, yes. I agree with that because they condition us to think that death is the end. And we know that absolutely is not the truth. And I think that is part of what makes what you do so phenomenal. You do both psychic and mediumship, correct?
Yes,
When you do that, it's like you bring it all together. You give them what they need and bring this beautiful spirit through for them, and give them what they need again: peace, love, you know.
yes, most definitely. Yes.
Phenomenal, phenomenal. So let's talk a little bit about where you feel like you are going with in your life even or with your mediumship, or what do you see for yourself?
Well, Tammy, as you know, and if you don't mind me sharing this with your listeners, I decided to write a book. This endeavor was something very important for me and my life and my circumstances. It's an opportunity for me to express some very deep emotions and ideas and thoughts and experiences that I feel may be of help to large numbers of people. Now, I am a psychotherapist, a healer, a medium, a trance healer, and a trance mediumship. But even with all the skills, the opportunity for me to impact all those people that are in need of my help is impossible. So I also thought it was important to write a book where people could understand. First of all, it's very understandable, I think. I worked on that because if people don't understand and you're using all this jargon, what use is it?
I
Come
think
on,
for
who's
me that's
if
a
they
part of my
can,
mission.
it's got to be ABC 1, 2, 3. This, that, and the other.
That's what
Well,
I believe is a part of my mission. I believe that I'm here to break this down. People can understand it.
yes, most definitely. So, are there strategies people can employ
Mm,
that would help them manage the challenges, the traumas in their
right.
life? And do we need to also help people
Yeah.
to recognize the extent to which there may be trauma in their life, that for whatever reason they thought they closed the door, but there's space around the door. So
Yeah.
there's going to be the opportunity to eke out those traumatic histories, both on a personal level, traumatic histories in their family, traumatic histories of people in their lives that they have seen situations that have caused trauma. And of course, we want to be aware as Black Americans the extent to which we have an intersectional identity. So, for example, I'm Black. I have the Caribbean and American side. I also have disabilities and handicaps. I also have age issues. Some would say I have class issues. There are so many different intersections, so
Yeah.
many parts of our identity. And I think Professor Crenshaw, who came up with this idea of intersectionality, is excellent in her treatise, her
Yeah.
hypothesis, her narration. But besides the role of and these different intersections, there's also the feeling states. So we need to understand the extent to which, with all these intersections that I have, that there are feelings to them. Feelings that, in some respects, may relate or align themselves with previous traumatic experiences in my life.
Yes.
So I decided, well, maybe there's some things I can say that have been helpful to me that will be helpful to other people that may be healing strategies. So I called the book Straight Talk from a Wise Woman: Trauma, Tears, and a Healing Path.
Oh, nice.
Thank you. It's available on Amazon. I'm going to be doing some speaking tours and I'll have the book available for people that are interested. I may end up in Oregon and Seattle. I would love to see you. I hope to use this book as a healing strategy, but also for an opportunity for me to enlarge and expand the extent to which I have the opportunity to connect with people in readings. I'm told there are so many lost souls that you need to impact. That's what I was told. You need to impact these lost souls. People will listen to you, people will hear what it is you're saying, people will follow up on the recommendation. So I'm hoping that this book will be opening the doors for me and opening the doors for others who are hiding in whatever ways they are hurting, that they are experiencing unseen hurts.
I love that. I can feel the impact
Thank you.
because there's so many people out there that are hurting and so many people that they don't have nobody to talk to about it. It's just, them, and I think about people like me. Like when my grandmother died, I felt like I was lost because she was my person. I literally would call my grandma and talk about everything, like sex even. You know, I would. I would talk to her about, and she was the only person I could talk to about these gifts that I had that other people didn't have that I thought everybody did. I thought everybody had those. I thought everybody heard people talking to them. Then I found out no. Ooh, all right. I think that it's going to
Yeah.
be phenomenal. This
Yeah.
book is going to be revolutionary. I can feel.
You're giving me chills. Just keep talking.
I saw a little blurb about it on Facebook and I was like, oh man, this is going to be good. I'm glad you brought it up. I think this is going to be revolutionary because lots of people write books and publish them every day. But, when you get something in your hands, even the way you talk about it, oh my God.
Thank
I was
you.
like, dang, woo.
Yes.
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely. Oh my God. Can't wait. I hope you're gonna have it on Audibles, right?
You're the third person that asked, and that's on my list to discuss with my publisher on Audible, Kindle, all of that stuff. And then, of course, as you said, Substack, I got that down too.
For sure. Right now, what I'm doing on Substack is dripping a story about my manifestation story, about my house and my husband. People want to know that, especially at a certain age, because we were certain ages when we got together. So I said, you know what? I can put this on my Substack. So I drip. So about every day or probably usually about every couple of days, I do one. I just sit down and write it. I put my little links in there and I hit publish and I say, you know what? Go with God.
Beautiful.
And I thought, because somebody else gave me that idea, they were like, you can drip it and then put all that together and make it a book.
Absolutely.
And then people will be looking for it because they're watching the thing drip through.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
they can share it. If it's in a book, they'll be able to share it, look, have it in book clubs, which I hope mine will be part
Yeah.
of.
I think it'll have to be in a book club because it sounds like a course almost.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good. So, if there's anything that you want to share with the people, share. And then also share where they can connect with you, the best place.
Okay.
Then I'll ask you one last question and we'll land this plane.
All right. I love it. My website is www.lornajhines.com. My email is lornajhines at gmail.com. If I didn't say it, our Facebook group, Mediums of African Ancestry, is a diverse learning community. In fact, we have more white people in the group than people of color, Black people, indigenous, and so forth.
It shocked
I'm
me.
telling you, you were
I was
there,
like, wait, what?
so you're going to substantiate my story. Am I lying or flying?
No, you're not.
And
Matter
let
of fact, I reached out to you about that. I was like, what in the world is happening here?
people, more white people. And the reason is my white brethren, brothers and sisters, I will call them that, they are seeking information. They often say over and over in the different posts that I make, I am so glad, Lorna, you are revealing this history. We didn't know anything about it. We want to know about it. We want to be aware. We want to be opening our eyes
Yeah,
to the real facts in history. They say that all the time.
because they want to bury history,
You,
especially
they want to
ours.
bury it. They want to blow it up.
Mhm.
Let the
Burn
ashes,
the look banned books.
books, and the different museums. They want to take away the funding for the different museums.
Heard they
African
took away
museums.
NPR, right?
I heard that. Yes. So we're in a more of a culture war than we've ever been. We were already in one, and now this is the absolute worst. The other way to contact us is through the Mediums of African Ancestry on Facebook. We are having an upcoming event. I hope some of you will join us. The Wisdom of Men, it is focused on a service in support and uplifting men
Father's Day.
and for Father's Day. We'll
Yeah.
have some music, a guest speaker, and mediumship as well. That's June 14th, 12 noon Eastern Daylight Time, and all are welcome. I do understand. The problem is we try to make it at a time that the European people can
Yeah,
come
that's
because
right.
5 and 6 o'clock for them.
Yep, that's right. Yep.
So it's kind of the midpoint. June 28th, we'll have another presentation. Myself and Carolyn Wilkins, another wonderful member of our group, we will talk a little bit about both of our books. She has a new book coming up, Murder at the Wham Bam Club, a mystery writer,
Oh, I
Carolyn.
like
Uh,
that.
but me, I'm will be juxtaposed to one another. I'm more on, as I said, straight talk from a wise woman, trauma, tears, and a healing path.
I like that.
Yeah,
I
so there's lots of venues for your guests to continue to be involved and to have a opportunity for us to get to know each other and dialogue and, as we say, conversate with one another.
Yes. So what she's saying for my Caucasian brothers and sisters that you are welcome to join mediums of African ancestry if you come in and act accordingly. You don't get invited to the cookout if you act crazy.
Well, that's true. That's true.
All right,
Mind your manners.
exactly. I have one last question that I ask every single one of my guests.
Please.
If there was anything in the world that you could change, what would that be and why?
I have chills as I think about the question. And I would like to change the intense and, in some respects, fervent, unhealthy feelings of negative self worth
Mm,
that so many people have. That is the egg that hatched within us that
yes.
unfortunately has had such a profound impact on so many parts of our lives and our relationships with others. Someone said to me today, and I hope I'm not offending anyone, but they said some people need a license to have children. I think that people have to be very cognizant of the enormous responsibility that they have in bringing children into the world and what it requires. It's an enormous commitment
Well,
and
that's
it's
a Gen X thing.
everybody. Say that again.
I said, no, that was for Gen X. That's what they did to us. You're right. Because the thing is, I don't know, for some reason lately, I've been seeing all these people having like 8 and 10, and they be proud of it. I saw this one couple, they started at 14 and they got like 8 kids and they're like 33. And I'm like, is that a flex? Like, did nobody not tell me? I think that's a valid point because people don't realize it's not just root chakra issues. It's not just making sure they have clothes and food and all of that, but they got to have love. They got so many other
Tension,
things. Right.
tension. Run the school that you have to advocate for them, doctor's visits.
They need to do
Um,
stuff. So you got to be dropping them and picking them.
yes, yes.
I laugh because my youngest son, I had to keep him doing stuff, but
I
I
understand.
recognized that. So I kept him doing stuff.
Oh,
But
time
when
to
you,
go there, time to go there.
was you gonna play basketball this season? He was doing something. I'm like, yeah, I got to keep him. If you know your children, you know them.
That's
Like,
right.
I got to keep him busy. But I'm just so grateful that you have honored me with your presence. And
Oh,
this has been so much fun and amazing. And I know we'll get a chance to do it again.
I hope so.
I
Please.
know we'll get a chance to do it again. I'm also doing deconstructing panels from religion. And I'm working on that. I was trying to get it done for June, but I had to give myself some grace. So it might be August.
Or September.
It's just not happening because, it's just, yeah. But that's something that's like been on my heart because I keep interviewing people that have deconstructed and stuff. And I was like, you know what? We probably need to start talking about that, because people need support in that,
Yes,
because that thing it's hard when because you walk away a lot of times from religion or your church, and those are all your friends, so you're losing not only your identity in all kinds of ways.
yes,
Oh, yeah. So I thought that would be
yes.
something that would be good to do.
Excellent. Very important discussion.
Yes, because it's so many, and then people come from all kinds of stuff. Like I interviewed a girl, she was Islam, and another one I interviewed was Jehovah Witnesses. But I was like, man, I'm waiting for a Mormon. They've been coming out of all these different places. This has been amazing. I've enjoyed this interaction. It's been a wonderful exchange of energy, and I'm so grateful for you for coming, Lorna. And
And
those of you
please,
that are watching,
thank you. The pleasure is mine. The honor is mine. The sense of expectation and waiting to do this, it all has been realized.
yeah.
I so enjoyed our time together, and I look forward to seeing and interacting with one another.
Absolutely. And when you get ready to do your tour and you're coming this side, let me know because I'm
Well,
here. travel because I just had to go to Seattle. My uncles and aunts came out here from Connecticut. My
Okay.
uncle called me and said, "We're coming out there to go on the Princess Cruise, and we expect to see you."
All right. Well, that's what I'll say. I'm here at the airport. I'm staying such and such a place, and I expect to see you.
Exactly. Well, I don't have no problem with that because they're like, "Wow, y'all came 2.5 hours." I was like, "Yeah, but y'all came across the country. 2.5 hours is nothing when you guys are going across the country,
That's
right?"
right.
So again, thank you so much for joining us on Straight Outta Savannah. This has been amazing, and I hope that you got some magic out of this because that is what I intend to bring forth is the
Beautiful.
magic. So
Beautiful.
again,
All right then. Blessings.